Welcome back, everybody, and we are in our second session for It Takes Two, and we're going to be talking today about personality differences. In fact, Pastor, there's a quote that you've come across here recently that you'd like to share with us.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I read this the other day, and it's by Stanley Habermas.
You did good with that one.
That was a good try.
Did I do it right?
Yeah,
Habermas.
I think.
Okay, Duke University. This is what he said. The assumption is that there is someone just right for us to marry, and that if we look closely enough, we will find that just right person. I mean, there's a lot of singles, and many of us may have had that even when we were, in the date. Man, I got to find the right one. And this assumption overlooks a very crucial aspect of marriage. It fails to appreciate the fact that you always marry the wrong person. Okay. Wait a second and you'll get it, okay? Just give it a while, and he or she will change. For marriage being the enormous thing it is, means we are not the same person after we have entered it. One of the primary challenges of marriage is learning how to love and care for the stranger who you often find out yourself you're married to. So I think the point here is it's not like you're marrying the wrong person. It's saying there is no perfect person. You're not a perfect person. If you think you have the right person when you're dating and everything's perfect and you have that in your mind, it can be disillusioning that you get married and just life changes you. But I think there's encouragement in this is that no matter who you marry, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to always every day feel good. Love's a decision. My dad always told me that. Love's a decision, son, not an emotion. You got to commit to it. And so I think you would definitely say you married the right person, but it was kind of the wrong person in the sense of maybe
when you make me mad.
Yeah, when I make you mad, but it changes, right? I mean, that sometimes it's like it's never perfect though, right?
No. Which it never could be, because we're not perfect.
Well, we were even talking off camera before, and we were talking about your expectations, Jenny, coming into the marriage, because I said, well, did you ever get to a place where you recognize, man, I'm going to have to grow, or we're going to have to grow in this, but you
remember
said,
how when we first were dating, you thought I was perfect?
Yeah.
I didn't remember her saying that, but maybe
I don't
she
think
said
I
that.
really thought
That
you were
one time.
perfect.
That one.
Yeah. You were precious, but not perfect.
So you knew right out of the box, this is a growth thing and not a static, hey, I found the one and everything's
Yeah,
gonna be
I think
perfect.
because Scott and I dated for so long, and I think his parents and both of our families were super, not that they would sit there and get in a fight in front of us or do whatever, but the issues were there, and it's not like they tried to hide that we never had issues. So I think that I never assumed things would be perfect, and we had lots of disagreements before we got married, so I definitely didn't think that would change once we did get married.
Right. I mean, so
the disagreements just change on what they are. I mean, every phase of our life has been, maybe we're not arguing about the same things or having the same struggles, but give it 2 or 3 years, they'll morph into something else.
So if someone has a lot of fear of, man, this thing takes a lot of work, that's
so
everybody?
much work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know anybody. There may be some people that just the way their personalities are, it may be easier than other personalities that are together. Comparatively,
Sure.
but that doesn't mean that they are not having to work at it either. Everything has to
I think
work.
both of our personalities are so strong that it's very difficult for us not to want to kill each other when we're, we have to scale it back and just say, okay, we've got to talk kindly, not, say things that we're very good at being smart aleck about. And I mean, for us, our personalities are both like, rah. We have to calm that
you're
down.
You're an even better smart aleck than he is sometimes, I've noticed.
Absolutely, Pastor Mark. Thank you for...
Absolutely, Pastor Mark.
I was saying you're way better at those things.
Yeah. Hey,
Yes.
so you guys just
You mean I'm way funnier?
You are funnier.
There's no
Thank
doubt
No, when
on
you
that.
try, you
Thank
are
you.
more funny.
Thank you.
So y'all just recently took the deep love assessment.
Yep.
And tell us about those findings, what you guys came up with, and what you saw there.
What did we find?
That we were the same personality type, which wasn't surprising. On almost any personality thing.
Do you remember what it was called?
Yeah, we were
Okay,
both
good.
a cooperating spouse.
Okay, so you
You're
are
very
both.
cooperative.
So sometimes people will go, oh, if we're the same personality, then we're not going to have any personality differences. But that's not what I'm hearing.
Yeah, even
you
when
guys talk
we
about.
weren't, I wasn't surprised that we were in the same category because
No,
very much
most of our tests are very
most
similar.
of our tests were very similar. But even being similar doesn't mean that we're the same, so we think the same, so there's not going to be any conflict. No, in a lot of ways, because our personalities are so strong, we're both A-type personalities, both leaders, both the oldest sibling. All those things cause us to both have a tendency.
It's difficult for us to back down, is what he's trying to say in a simple sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay, so
you
what-
think maybe one day I could communicate.
Maybe one day you're learning.
I'm just helping you for
Thank
the
you.
for the simple of us.
Thank you.
So you've recognized that even though your personalities from an inventory side are very similar, you guys also recognize some differences. So what's one or two differences, and how are you guys maximizing handling that and walking through those things?
I think the way we do money is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I find in a lot of counseling and a lot of times with couples, money is like one of the biggest stressors.
Yeah.
And I'd say that is a big stress for us. Now, that I'm saying that in this sense. I mean, you're like going, what do you mean? We think the same, but even when you think the
Well,
same on
money's
money,
stressful.
it's just stressful
Money is
when
stressful,
if you're
period.
selling a house, building a house,
Right.
if you're trying to do, retirement. I mean, ours have been big changes and big things that we're doing and having to go,
College.
what are we going to do? What are we going to call all this? So I can't imagine if you're in a situation where you have massive debt or you have it where your job, the money you have coming in isn't matching what your bills are, how much even more stressful that'd be. But that's very difficult on that. But on ours, I think we're kind of similar on that. Parenting, I think, is where a lot of
I
times
think
we have to look.
we're a little different in that.
We're a little different
Yeah,
on
we're
that. So
different.
talk about that for a minute.
I think I'm very much going to assume that when we've got this much of a problem, this much of a problem's coming. Yeah, and you don't. I think Scott's always the optimist and I'm always the pessimist whenever there's an issue going on, with something with parenting. I always assume we're headed for doomsday.
So what's the strategy you guys use? And I know the guy that you connect with in marriage counseling and coaching, and he often talks about that idea of recognizing your superpower. So you've got a superpower to see the whole iceberg. You kind of have a superpower to see just the tip, and maybe more of a positive slant, more of a, oh no, this may be looming slant. How do you guys manage that or maximize both of those perspectives?
How do we do it, babe?
I think that one of the things that he's helped us understand is that we used to get really mad at each other for why do you always stay positive and I am always the one who's the realist saying, no, this is happening. No, this is happening. And he would not, have a tendency not to believe that or see that. And sometimes I freak out and go way too far with it. So I think instead of me being frustrated that he's not like that, he's helping us realize that, we were in a counseling thing and you said, Jenny's always thinking it's going to go this far and do all that. And the guy said, well, if she didn't do that, you would be doing that. The only reason you're not is because she is. So learning to value that, I've got to say my piece and say what I feel like and with my discernment and things like that, and then trust you to let you handle it.
He talked to us that I thought was genius is about being a team instead of being frustrated like, why are you so weak? Or she's saying, why are you so weak in this?
Or why aren't you like me?
Why aren't you like me in this? In which when we say, are you not like me? We're really saying, why are you weak? Because we're thinking what we do is the strength. So he said, instead of doing that, do you know how cool it would be if you guys would look at each other as a team and that where you are weak or you're playing that position. So in our parenting, she plays the position of discerner. I'm not discerning. She can smell stuff going on with the kids that I can't smell. So she'll go, I think something's going on. I can just feel it. Okay? Now, here's where we have to play it back and forth. I hope it's okay that we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But sometimes the worry part of a woman can cause it to be she's alarmed about every single thing. So it causes me to go, golly, here we go again. I mean, around every corner is
get drained
doomsday.
from
And
my
I'm just
worry.
like going, oh my gosh, they don't always turn bad. Every single
Right.
thing doesn't go bad.
Right.
In fact, I'm concerned that if we keep saying everything's bad, we'll actually bring it about. Because the scripture says that what you fear comes upon you. And I don't want that. So there's the balance though, that if I'm not careful, I will push every
Tune me out.
I'll tune out even when she's discerning. So what I've found is this, If it comes to do with spiritual things and it comes to do with spiritual walk, that type of deal, then man, it is discernment. It is all over. So if she's talking about that, I better listen. Hey, I feel right now there's an attack going on here. I feel like there's this going on here. I can't take because it may be in other areas and not listen to that. So I've said to her, you've got to do the discerning, and I'm going to listen to you on it. But how we respond to that discerning of that moment is where my superpowers kick in, that I've got to go hear from God of what's the steps that need to be taken. And it doesn't always mean interfere with it and block it from happening. Sometimes the kids need to make decisions that they have consequences to and that they work it through. So she has to trust me in the implementation of how we handle it. And I have to trust her that she really is feeling something that's going. Does this make sense?
Yeah. So you guys, what you're saying, what I think I hear you saying is that there is a mutual level of trust and latitude that you've given each other to work in your superpower, and then bring that to the table instead of it feeling like those superpowers have to conflict with each other.
Right.
And we're still always having to take our hands off of the other
What's been the
person's
hardest
area.
thing? This is good because Ms. Jenny, what's been the hardest thing for you to get over in order to allow for that trust and that latitude?
I think for my personality, because I am a strong personality, and all the stuff that Scott's talked about not being present as much of the dad when the boys were small and all that, totally different now. But I grew up, his mom was strong. My mom's very strong. That's what I knew. My personality is strong. So for me, I say I want to release that part to him, but it's very difficult for me still not to be hands-on with it. So it's a constant still tweaking of like, oh yeah, I've got to leave that alone. I've got to let Scott do that. I've got to trust God with that.
But on my side, it's communicating to you that
that
if
you
I
got
leave a
it.
vacuum, that I'm not telling her proactively, hey,
Right.
just want you to know, I talked to this today, I did this today, I worked on this today, I prayed on this today. Hey, let me tell you the progress going on. If I don't communicate those things to her, it leaves a vacuum where she thinks maybe I'm not doing the things. And so me doing that. But here's what I thought was genius.
Maybe you're not, or maybe it's not as important to you as it is to me.
Exactly. It
So
may
they
be
can
like
even get
it's
into
not.
that.
So if she starts feeling look, my husband's great. This is what I
Yeah.
think she thinks about me. My husband's great. If he's on it, it's done.
Right.
So as long as I'm communicating to her, I value this. It's at the forefront of my mind and thought, and I'm on it. It relieves that stress on her. But what I used to figure, and not just the kids deal, but in life, is that sometimes she would be like more worried about something, I'd be less worried. And then other times I'd be more worried of stuff, and she's going, hey, it's no big deal. And I told the counselor that, and he goes, exactly. You guys are one. And so whatever you're covering, she'll be on the other side. So it's like even in conversations sometimes I thought like, if I change and flip this, and I start being the person who's worried, she's going to start doing the other. And I'm going, no matter what, we can't ever come together. It's because it's this balancing act in the relationship that if she's got the worry part covered, I'll be the faith part. If I'm handling the worry part, she's handling the faith. To help each other to stay in balance. And God made us that way to be a team. And if marriages, instead of looking to each other to be quote unquote on the same page type deal, instead of that mindset to think of, wait a minute, she's got strengths that I can actually rely on in my weaknesses, and she cannot look to me as weak as much as I got this on this part. I love you. I'll take if it's on and I can rely on that and not feel like I'm a loser because I'm not as
I
good
think
at her.
same page is tackling the same problem, and knowing to me that you're both giving the same amount of effort to the same problem is the same
That's
page.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
You're smart.
Okay, so people are about to go into some discussion time in the groups. What would you like to say in closing?
I think if people can be on a same team about talking, again, communication's key. What do you feel you're good at, and what do you feel like you're not so good at? And do the same thing with the other spouse. What do you feel like you're good at and not good at, or need strength in? And then to look at each other and say, I'm so thankful that you're strong in that, and that I can lean in on that.
And being willing to admit that you're weak in that area and trust your spouse with that. That's a big deal.
Don't you think that's cool?
It's good.
Instead of it being me against her and her against me, it's us
We spent
against
a
the
long
problem.
time that way. We spent a long time that way. So it's been great to figure out there was a much smarter way to do it.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, pray for us.
God, Thank you that you're helping us grow as couples and as people. And Lord, I pray that you continue to just help every couple right now to continue to grow in communication. And we thank you, Lord, that you gave us a spouse to be a helper, to be a person who comes alongside, that the synergy of the relationship is going to make it even more powerful, than just being together, added together. It's the synergy of it. Jenny completes me. I complete her in these things, and you're helping us and leading us. Thank you for that gift. Thank you for that process of sanctification where Jenny helps me grow and I can help her grow. God, I pray the same thing for these couples, that you would just help them to carve out time to talk about these things, and that there would be a mutual submission and respect, that this is a team, a kingdom team that you have put together. Amen.